most excited to see today. And if you have any questions, we will make sure that they are answered in the chat for you. All right, let's get started with CND liquid and powder. So today we are focusing on CND liquid and powder because it is our toughest enhancement tool that we have in our toolbox. So we do make a few different enhancement systems at CND, but CND liquid and powder is going to give our clients the most complete transformation and is the best enhancement for a client who might have really challenging nails. So let's talk a little bit about the system before I get into the application. So of course we have our CND liquids, and we have CND Retention Plus, which is a really great liquid, sculpting liquid for our lift prone clients. And then we also have our CND odorless liquid as well. And our CND odorless liquid is really great gel-like application, and obviously it is odorless, so it's great when you're in a spa-like setting. I also like it for when you're first learning how to do liquid and powder enhancements. It's a little bit more forgiving with the application, so it's perfect for newbies. Of course, you want to make sure that we are using our CND liquid and powder as a system. So we want to be using our CND sculpting liquids with our sculpting powders. And we do have a wide variety of sculpting powders, but today we're going to be concentrating on our opaque powders. So I'm going to show you those as well. Here we have light peachy pink, natural buff, cool mocha, medium cool pink, warm medium brown, and soft warm beige. So using your CND Perfect Color Powder with your CND Sculpting Liquid of choice is going to make sure that you are having the best possible results for your liquid and powder enhancements. Now, I am going to use today a couple of our CND Perfect Color powders to create a custom blend for my nails. So I'm going to be using medium cool pink, natural buff, and a little bit of clear. So I love that you can take all of our CND Perfect Color powders and you can custom blend them to your client's skin tone and their needs. So this custom blend that I'm going to make for you or for my nails today is going to be 2 parts of medium cool pink to 2 parts of natural buff, and then 1 part of clear. So in my little custom mixing jar, I am going to add six scoops of our medium cool pink. All right, then I'm going to add 6 scoops of natural buff. And then 2 scoops of clear. All right. We're going to put the lid on that. And we're going to give it a little shake. All right, and that is going to be my custom blend that we are going to use for application. Now, before we get to application, let's talk about one foundational technique of liquid and powder application that I think is really important, and that is mix ratio. Mix ratio is our proper blend of our liquid ingredients and our powder ingredients to make sure that we have that right blend of strength and adhesion so that we not only have a mix ratio that's going to help us perfectly place that product on the nail right where we want it to be, but also that we make a nice tough enhancement that's going to wear well and last. So the mix ratio for our CND Retention Plus Sculpting Liquid is 1.5 parts liquid to 1 part powder, and that's a medium wet consistency. So when I am looking at mix ratio, I want to look at the look and feel of my bead, the look and feel of my bead, right? So I want to look and make sure that my mix ratio is correct. And I'm going to do that by looking at it and how it feels when it comes off of my brush. Okay, so since we are talking about our sculpting brush, these are our new CND Pro sculpting brushes. And they are made of a natural hair fibers that really just hold that liquid and give you a beautiful brush to sculpt with. Now, when you get your CND sculpting brush for the first time, it is going to have a little bit of packing starch in it. So you're going to want to clean that packing starch out of the brush, and you're going to do that by just gently breaking up the packing starch with like either a lint-free pad or a table towel, and break up that packing starch, and then pour out a little bit of the CND sculpting liquid into your dapping dish, and then you're just going to completely wet out all the hairs of the brush, just like that, and then wipe that on a table towel until the brush doesn't feel stiff anymore and it's ready to use, and it doesn't look like it has any packing starch left in it, okay? Now, when I am done using my CND sculpting brush, I'm going to dip it into liquid. I'm going to wipe it on either a lint-free pad or a clean table towel, and then I'm going to put the lid back on my brush, and I'm going to store it flat. If you get a little bit of product stuck in your CND sculpting brush, don't worry. All you have to do is put a little bit, or just dip your brush into a little bit of monomer or liquid. And then I usually just like set it like that on the dapping dish for about 30 minutes and let that monomer absorb into the brush and soften up that hardened product. And then you can work it out with a clean table towel or lint-free pad. You don't want to use any acetone or alcohol or polish remover or brush cleaner on your brush because it is made of a natural hair, and that will start to dry out the natural hairs on your brush. And then it's gonna kind of like how we get split ends. Your brush is gonna get split ends, and then it's not gonna work as well. So all you need to clean out your brush, either when you're done using it or if you get a little bit of hardened product in it, is liquid. Just clean it out with sculpting liquid. Okay. So now that we have our brush care sorted out, let's look at mixed ratio for Retention Plus, sculpting liquid, and perfect color powder. So as I said, it's 1.5 parts liquid to 1 part powder. So I'm going to dip my brush into the liquid, making sure to completely get it into the belly of the brush, which is that thickest part of the brush. I'm going to press it out up to the ends of the brush, but not over, so I have a nice flat brush. And then I'm just going to gently lay it down into my powder. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to give it a little bit of hang time. I'm going to turn it over. It should have a bumpy texture to it. And then I'm going to lay that down on my nail, or if I'm practicing on some kind of plastic back, and I'm going to see how that domes out. And we want it to dome out nice and slow and drop down by about 10%, 10 or 20%. And it should come clean off your brush. All right, if it's too wet, see how it like really almost looks like it has those edges, like it's wet all around the edge of the bead, and it's almost got like a smooth texture to it. And then when I take it off of the brush, it's gonna dome out really fast and spread out really fast. And it'll usually have like a ring of liquid around it. If it's too dry, it will have these edges of dry powder around it, right? And every time we see this like too dry, we always want to do this like little tap tap with our brush to get that dry powder off. But you can see when I put it onto my pad, it's not going to want to come off the brush. It's going to fight coming off the brush, and it's not really going to move a whole lot. Got my good mixed ratio bead. Bumpy texture, but completely wet. It's going to come off my brush with a nice little press, and it's going to dome out nice and slow. Now, mixed ratio for our CND odorless liquid is 2 parts liquid to 1 part powder. So it is a wetter consistency, and it's going to give you a little bit of, it's still going to have a bumpy texture to it. It should still have a bumpy texture to it, the feel of it, but it is going to be a little bit of a wetter feel. And it almost has like a gel-like feel to it in your application. And that's how you know that you'll have good mix ratio with our CND odorless liquid, because it's going to have like a gel-like consistency to it. All right, any questions about liquid and powder system or custom blending or mix ratio, make sure you're dropping those in the chat so our CND representative can answer those for you. Now, before we actually apply our liquid and powder, we want to make sure that we are preparing our nail plate so that we have really good adhesion. And at CND, we use a little acronym called PREP to help us remember the steps of preparing the nail plate. P stands for perform a manicure, and we're going to want to perform a dry manicure. And then R is remove the shine. E is eliminate surface contaminants, and P is purify nail plate layers. And you're going to do the E and P in one step with our scrub fresh. So let's start with our dry manicure. I'm going to want to make sure that I'm gently pushing back that eponychium with my cuticle pusher and starting to lift and loosen the cuticle from the nail plate. So when we talk about removing cuticle, we're not talking about removing this living tissue. We're talking about removing this dead tissue, like you can see it right here in the corner of my thumb, from the nail plate, so that we have a nice clean canvas for our liquid and powder to adhere to the natural nail and not to that dead tissue. So once I'm done lifting and loosening that cuticle from the nail plate, I'm going to go in with my curette. My curette kind of looks like a little mini melon baller. I'm going to use it flat side down. And I'm going to remove that non-living tissue from the nail plate. Now, a lot of times people ask me, can I perform my dry manicure with an e-file? I'm used to doing my cuticle work with an e-file before I apply my enhancements. You're more than welcome to do that if you're trained and how to use an e-file for that. I just prefer to use really good implements. And I think if you have really good implements like this curette and a really good pusher, that's all you need. All right, and then the last thing I need to do today, I'm going to be applying my enhancement with a form. So I want to take down my extension edge, my natural extension edge of my natural nail so that my form fits better. Whether I'm using a tip, if I'm applying a tip, or I'm applying one of our forms, they're going to fit better if the nail is a little bit shorter and those corners are rounded off. So I'm just using my 240 Kanga file to shorten the extension edge of that nail. All right, now I'm ready to remove the shine, and I am going to remove the shine with the 240 side of a koala buffer. And to remove the shine, I'm just going to go in the direction of nail growth. So from cuticle to extension edge. And then along the cuticle line as well. And then making sure we're getting those lateral folds. So when I say we're removing the shine from the nail plate, we're really just removing that surface shine from the nail plate. If you think about the fact that your nail plate is about 100 to 150 layers of keratin thick, when we remove the shine, we only want to remove those top 2 to 3 layers that contain those surface oils. We do not have to really take a heavy grit abrasive and remove a lot of layers of nail plate. Just a 240 grit abrasive will do the job for you. All right, then we're ready to eliminate surface contaminants and purify nail plate layers with our Scrub Fresh. So about 2 pumps. All right, my bottle hasn't been pumped in a while, so I had to prime it. But about 2 pumps will give you enough Scrub Fresh to Scrub Fresh all 5 nails on one hand. And you want to make sure you're giving it a really good scrub. I always say pretend like your client. Maybe they polished their own nail and got it all in the polish all in the lateral folds and in the cuticle eponychium area. And you need to get all of that out so that you're getting all that dust and contaminants out of those folds. And then along the free edge and underneath the free edge, giving it a good scrub. All right, and I usually will Scrub Fresh one hand at a time because inevitably your client is probably gonna touch their other hand while you're applying liquid and powder to the first hand. They're gonna be touching their hand or using it, and they're gonna recontaminate their hand. So I like to Scrub Fresh right before I'm applying my liquid and powder. All right, now that we have our prep done, I am going to apply my Future Form. So if you've not used these Future Forms yet, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with them. They were created by nail pros for nail pros, and they are a heavy metal form, but they do have sticky on them. And they have a great grid and all kinds of ways that you can customize these forms. So that's one of the reasons I love it. So the first thing I want to do before I apply my form is I'm going to rip open this tab in the back. And then I'm going to rock my C-curve into place. Now, I want to make sure we do that first, and because of this nice heavy metal, see how that C-curve just stays in place for you? It's amazing. So I want to go in with that form and that nice C-curve. You don't want to try to go in straight and then do the C-curve, try to bend the C-curve underneath the nail because you'll probably get some gapping. We want to go in with that curve. And then I want to make sure I have a really good fit. Now, I know it's kind of hard when you're doing this on yourself, but I'm also going to make sure that I customize this. So I'm looking to see where these little solid blue lines hit on either side. And you can see over here, it's hitting right there. And on this side, it's hitting like right where it's supposed to. So we're gonna customize this. I'm gonna take it off. Let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my scissors, my little scissors. I'm gonna cut a straight line right on that blue line. And then I'm gonna turn the form over and I'm gonna fold that tab that I just cut underneath like that. And what this does, what that customization does, is if you have a client who has like a really high lateral sidewall and the form wants to always keep popping up on you, that's gonna prevent it from popping up on you. All right, then I'm gonna press my form right where the one is, where those ones are on both sides. I'm pressing that with my other thumb and finger. And then I'm gonna press the 2 tabs, 3 tabs, and then bring those 2 together so you can see now why I opened those up so that I can get even more of a custom fit. And that is on there. We want it to be nice and straight coming out. I just want to show you guys, I'm gonna like tap it on my table towel. I'm giving that a good tap. I know it's kind of hard to see that, but it is on there. So that's one of the things I really like about these. And I'm also gonna check it from the side to make sure that I don't have, or means from the front, the barrel C curve, to make sure that I don't have any gapping. All right, perfect. We are good to go. Let's apply some liquid and powder. Taking out my custom blend, bringing that back, and my liquid. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to apply my extension edge. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to pick up a bead. I'm going to give it a little bit of hang time. I'm going to place it onto the nail. I'm going to let it settle for a couple seconds, and then I'm going to angle my finger up. So if I were doing this on a client, I would first have their hand off of the table, because if their hand is resting down on the table, you really can't move their hand around very well. So we want to make sure that we angle their finger up. So kind of like it's pointing up towards you, so that we have that nice tapered extension edge. And I just give that 3 big presses to press my product out. And then I have about 3 minutes to press my product into place. And if I have good mix ratio, it's not going to move on me. I'm not going to have to force it if it's too dry. I can just use the flags of my brush, which are the tips of my brush, to apply that into place. Okay? Once I am completely done with that bead, that's when I wipe my brush. I don't want to wipe my brush while I'm working my bead and applying my product. That's going to eject all the liquid out of the belly of the brush that you need to put that product in place. All right, let's do our second bead. Our second bead's going to create our apex, which will be the highest point of our liquid and powder enhancement. So again, just going in, pressing the excess liquid out of the belly of my brush, laying it down into my powder, giving it some hang time. Oh, that was a little dry. Let's try again. All right, I'm going to lay that down right where I want that apex to be. I'm going to give it a couple seconds to settle, and then I'm going to press it in the middle. I'm going to press it to the side. I'm going to press it to the other side, and then I'm going to lightly feather it over zone 1 and give it some little baby presses in the back to press it down to my natural nail so it can adhere to my natural nail. And then I'm just going to smooth it out. Remember, I have about 3 minutes. Now, the whole entire time I'm working with that second bead in the apex, I'm keeping the client's finger parallel to the table so that my brush angle is also parallel to the nail. Wipe my brush, and then my final bead, I'm going to take a smaller bead. All right, so just a little bit of a smaller bead. I'm going to put that right down on top of my second bead. I'm going to angle the finger down towards the table and do little baby presses all along that cuticle line. All right. So just to recap, making sure we have that good mix ratio of 1.5 parts liquid to 1 part powder. We're going to lay our bead down and let it settle. We're going to angle that finger up so that we have this nice brush angle that's going to give us a nice tapered edge, and working the product back towards zone 2 or that second area to help start to create our apex. In zone 2, our second bead, we're going to keep that brush parallel. So we're going to keep that finger parallel to the table, to keep the brush parallel to the table so that we can create our apex. And then our final bead in that cuticle area, or zone 3, we're going to angle the finger down so that our brush can be angled down so that we're not getting product over onto the skin, which can cause the product to lift. All right, once we've applied our product and we let it set for about 3 minutes, that product is polymerized enough that we can file on it. And what does polymerized mean? Polymerized means that those molecular chains in the liquid and powder have started to come together and the product has started to harden up. Now, with CND liquid and powder, it takes about 24 to 48 hours for all of the molecular chains to come together and for the product to be at its full toughness and strength. But after about 3 minutes, those molecular chains have come together enough that we can file on this. So to remove my form, I'm going to pinch it in the middle and take that off. Because those molecular chains are only partially polymerized, we want to make sure that we're not using a really heavy grit abrasive or file when we file and shape this enhancement. So I'm going to use my CND Blizzard file, which is a 180 grit. So 100, 180. So I'm going to use the 180 side, and you always know when you have the softer side of a CND file, it will have the logo on it. I mean, it's kind of obvious to see. This definitely looks like it is the tougher grit, the harder grit side, but this will also tell you having the CND logo on there. So let's finish our nail. So I'm going to do that by perfecting my front form first. All right, then I'm going to imagine that I have this dotted line down the center of my nail. So I'm going to go in with my file, and I'm going to start back at the cuticle, and I'm going to go all the way down the side of my nail in a center down motion. So center down, all the way down. Let me do that on the other side so you can see it a little bit better. All right, and what that's going to do is that's going to debulk that heaviness through here that we sometimes see. And sometimes we see that heaviness and we think that the nail is too wide and we start to file it in here. But what happens is you're filing away your lower arch, and you need that lower arch for the strength of the enhancement. So we want to make sure that we're not filing that center or that lower arch, that we're just filing and debulking through here. All right, then I'm going to adjust my C-curve to make sure that it is a consistent thickness and nice and tapered from corner to corner. And then I'm going to go in with my, again, the 180 side, and I'm going to do a cuticle seal stroke to seal that product to the natural nail. Making sure, like, if I take my other nail and I run it along there, I'm not going to feel like a catch. Okay, and that's going to help that product also stay adhered to the natural nail so that we don't have any lifting. Now I'm going to perfect the surface of my nail with my CND boomerang padded file. All right, now we're ready to finish this nail. So there's a couple different things that you can do to finish the nail. You can just leave it like this. This is a great custom blend for my skin tone, so I could just put protector top coat on this. I would use my Plexi Gel protector top coat to finish it and make it nice and shiny. Or I could buff it out to a high gloss shine. But today I'm going to do a little bit of a shellac design on there for you. So today I'm going to be using CND shellac and Cake Pop, Creekside, and Cream Puff. And we're actually going to be using the new CND Epic Smoothing Base, which is designed for a shellac application on the natural nail. You would not normally need to use this on an enhancement, but I'm actually using it today as a blooming medium. Like, how cool is that? All right, so we're gonna bring over a little palette paper, and I am going to dispense some Cake Pop and like a little line, some Creekside, and Cream Puff. All right, then I'm going to use my Epic Smoothing Base. And I'm going to apply a thin layer of my Epic Smoothing Base to my liquid and powder enhancement. All right, then I'm going to go in with one of these little, this is like an ombre brush, which I've never really had any luck using these for ombre, but I do love them to do like some little like watercolor. So I'm going to go in with my brush. I'm going to pick up all 3 colors at once. So go through the 3 lines. And then I'm going to bring it onto the nail. And I'm going to start at like the middle of the nail, the corner over there. And I'm going to do like some wavy diagonal lines. If you know me, you know I love some easy nail art. And it doesn't get any easier than this. And if I think it needs some more color in different places, I'll just add that in. Just a fun way to do a fun French kind of design, because I want to let some of this custom blend shine through. Okay, and then once I'm happy with the design, then I am going to cure that in my CND LED light on the 2S button. All right, and while that's curing, if you have any questions about liquid and powder application or Epic smoothing base, or CND shellac, you can go ahead and put those in the chat and we'll make sure those get answered for you. And as I said, I personally love to use, oops, sorry, I'm throwing things everywhere. My apologies. I like to use our CND Plexi Gel Protector Top Coat to seal and protect my liquid and powder enhancement. Just giving it that crystalline-like shine. All right, and then just like all of our top coats, I'm gonna cure that with button 3 and the CND LED lamp. All right, while that's curing, let's talk a little bit about our CND Pro Skincare. Because pedicure season is coming and we want to make sure that we are stocked up on our pedicure products, and you can go to PinkPRO Beauty Supply.com to make sure that you're getting all of your CND pedicure needs, so that you are locked and loaded for CND pedicure season. So I want to just show you some of the pedicure products that we have in our CND Pro Skincare line. Our CND Pro Skincare line, all of our products are made with a prebiotic complex. And this prebiotic complex really, not only does it protect the skin's moisture barrier, the skin's barrier, and help heal it, but it also locks in that moisture. So the first product I want to show you is our mineral bath. And this mineral bath cleanses and deodorizes the feet with that prebiotic complex. And then we have our CND callus smoother. Which is a professional use only product designed to help smooth the skin, the calluses on the feet, so that you can use a foot file to smooth those calluses. It has high concentration of urea, and that's what helps smooth out that skin and soften that dry skin, but also has glycerin to help protect the skin. And to use it, I just do about 2 pumps on a lint-free pad, and I apply that to the calloused areas of the skin only. You let that sit on there about 5 minutes, and then I follow that up with our exfoliating sea salt scrub. And here's what I like to do with our exfoliating sea salt scrub. I just put it on, a little bit on, like a scoop onto a tray with a little spoon, just like that. So again, our sea salt scrub does have, our exfoliating sea salt scrub does have that prebiotic complex in it, but it also has these sea salt crystals. And what I like about these sea salt crystals is they're all kinds of different sizes to them. So you're getting like a physical exfoliation, but it's really, really polishing the skin. And it also has sunflower seed oil to hydrate the skin as well. And then I love to end my pedicure with our CND Pro Skincare Intensive Hydration Treatment. And again, just putting a little bit of this on a tray makes for a lovely presentation, but it also helps with product control. So making sure that you're not using too much product. This has a smaller amount of urea and lactic acid in it to help not only do a little mini micro exfoliation of the calloused areas of the feet, but also to hydrate the feet with allantoin and aloe. So the intensive hydrating treatment is an excellent retail product as well. And we do sell it in retail sizes. So make sure you're picking some of that up too, so that you can retail it to your clients and work smarter, not harder. And then to finish out our CND Pro Skincare line, not necessarily designed for the feet, but I will use this on pedicures, is our exfoliating scrub and our hydrating, not hydrating lotion. Our exfoliating scrub. I am going to talk about the hydrating lotion, but our exfoliating scrub and exfoliating activator. Now, this is designed for the hands, but I do like to use this on some clients for the feet who maybe have, their feet are a little bit more sensitive or they're ticklish, and the exfoliating sea salt scrub can be a bit much for them. So I like to use the exfoliating scrub and the exfoliating activator. Now, when you use the exfoliating scrub and the exfoliating activator, you use the exfoliating scrub first, and it is a citric acid. It has citric acid crystals in it. And so it's a physical exfoliation. So you're gonna apply a scoop of that first to the hands or the feet. And then you're gonna wanna keep that exfoliating scrub on there and add an equal amount of the exfoliating activator. And when you do that, the citric acid crystals are actually going to dissolve, and it's going to become a chemical exfoliation, and it is a really beautiful hydrating mask that you're going to want to leave on the hands for about 5 minutes. So usually wrap them up in like a warm towel, or you can use heated mitts or booties and leave that on there, and it becomes this gorgeous hydrating mask. And you can massage it into the skin. Actually, you don't have to take it off. You can actually just, after you let it sit for about 5 minutes, you can massage it into the skin. And then our last product in our Pro Skincare line is our hydrating lotion. As promised, our hydrating lotion you can use on the hands and the feet. Does have that prebiotic complex in it, just like all of our other CND Pro Skincare products do. And it has, it's a wonderful scent. It's kind of very light and fresh scent to it. And so it doesn't feel too heavy on the skin or oily on the skin, and absorbs perfectly. And again, creating that protecting that skin barrier and locking in that moisture with that prebiotic complex. And I also want to point out that all of our CND Pro Skincare products are a vegan formulation. Any questions about those, go ahead and make sure and drop that in the chat. And as I said, just pop on over to PinkPRO Beauty Supply.com and grab your pedicure products. Make sure that you're ready for the pedicure season that's coming. All right. When our top coat, our CND Plexi Gel Protector top coat is cured, it does have a little sticky tacky top film to it. So I'm going to remove that with some 99% isopropyl alcohol. And of course, I'm going to make sure that I'm finishing every service with either my CND Solar Oil or my CND Lightning Oil. Because this is a perfect time to not only make sure that we're restoring the cuticles, but this is a fantastic time to talk to our clients about the importance of home care and making sure that they're using their solar oil every day. Did you know that your CND solar oil is not only going to keep those cuticles nice and hydrated, but it's actually going to go down through your shellac product and your liquid and powder product, keeping whatever coating that you put on the nail plate nice and flexible, and the nail plate, the natural nail plate underneath, healthy, hydrated, and flexible. But it is a cumulative effect, which means that you need to be using it every day. So today's application of solar oil drives yesterday's application of solar oil down deeper into the nail plate and into the product, keeping the nail plate and the product working as one flexible unit that's going to make our product and our coating last longer, right? And honestly, we know when a client is using their solar oil, right? Because not only are they purchasing it from you on a regular basis, but they're coming in with hardly any service breakdown to their enhancements, and their natural nails are nice and healthy. So we want to make sure that our clients are using their solar oil. It's just a great investment for their enhancements. So solar oil every day. All right. And that is our iHeart CND for today with liquid and powder from CND. Making sure that we are using our CND liquid with our CND powder and our proper mix ratio, which is 1.5 parts liquid to 1 part powder for CND Retention Plus, and 2 parts liquid, 1 part powder with CND Odorless. Making sure that we're using our CND sculpting brush and using our CND liquid to clean our CND sculpting brush, and then capping that lid that comes with the brush, which I just absolutely love, and storing it nice and flat. Using our brush angles to put that product in place for strength and endurance, and also so that it makes it easy to file so that we're not spending a lot of time filing that. We're going to angle the finger up in zone 1, parallel in zone 2, and then down in zone 3 to get those beautiful brush angles. And don't forget, you can custom blend your perfect color powders to meet your client's needs. And then making sure that we're finishing with a 180 grit file like the CND Blizzard file, so that partially polymerized product can completely polymerize without having any micro scratches in it, and then finishing however you want to. Today I finished with my shellac, right? Did a little design with my shellac Epic Smoothing Base and some shellac colors, and then I sealed that with my Plexi Gel Protector Top Coat. Or you could just file finish it to High Gloss Shine, or you could just use your protector top coat with this gorgeous custom blend. And then, of course, finishing my service with solar oil. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me today here with PinkPRO Beauty Supply. Don't forget to drop any questions into the chat that you might have, and please come see us at PinkPROBeautySupply.com for all of your CND needs. And I hope that you have an excellent rest of your day. See you soon.